Today, we're diving fin too deep with myself and Neal Driscoll as we've approached that crunch time. It is officially do or die for the Miami Dolphins with the second half of the season in front of them and their star quarterback returning. Also, is Malik Washington in line to be an impact player the rest of the way due to key injuries on this team right now? We got a ton to discuss. Do me the favor, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and as always, let's get into this.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field on the near side, that open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it over a touchdown. He's in. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one as we dive into deep with myself and Neal Driscoll. Neal, the Dolphins, they are heading into week 8 after coming off a brutal loss where they were up 10-0 and then proceeded to be outscored 16-0. Key errors and lack of execution from some of the leaders in that locker room. Poor coaching and poor play calling. And by poor coaching, I mean poor personnel usage at times in the run game led to mistakes that they just couldn't dig themselves out of the hole of. How are you feeling with this team sitting 2-4 and basically now with a razor thin margin of error in front of them where they got to go 8-3 at worst to probably potentially see the playoffs? Then again, with the way the AFC has been so tight this year, maybe 9-8 sneaks you in, but don't want to take any of those chances. How you feeling heading into this game on the weekend?
Yeah, man, look, I think that was a game that we gave away. We gave it away to one of the worst teams in football without their two best players. No Jonathan Taylor, no DeForest Buckner. 5 minutes left in the game. We're 4th and 1 in their territory. Our head coach, who is over aggressive 99% of the time and goes through for it on 4th and 7 in our own territory, doesn't go for it at 4th and 1. Instead, he trots out a kicker that is a 60% kicker for kicks over 50 yards in his career, in Jason Sanders, and he misses, and the game's over, and we lose to a horrendous team, and we're 2-4 versus 3-3. And the scary part for me is I knew the offense was not going to be good without Tua, right? Like, I know who our backups are. I know it's Skylar Thompson, Boyle, and Tyler Huntley was good in Baltimore with an elite talent surrounding him and great coaching. And here he can't even make, elementary reads. But Mike McDaniel is getting out coached on a weekly basis to me. And that's scary. That's the scary part about this, is because we have to go 8-3. If the playoffs are the goal and 8-3 is the bar, right? You have to get there. We have good coaches coming on the horizon, like Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. We're going to be going up against it to make D'Amico Ryan, Sean McDermott, Kyle Shanahan. Like, I have just not seen the level of growth. I actually haven't seen any growth of Mike McDaniel, except that he has seemed to be more willing to run the football. but I don't know, why his loyalty to Raheem Mostert has to raise its head here. Like, what does Jalen Wright need to show anyone else to get more carries? He's the most consistent runner. He's creating when things aren't there. He's not going down on first contact like Mostert does so often. I just don't like the personnel frustrates me. The play calling frustrates me. But like, I think it's really the inconsistency across the board on, when Mike McDaniel tends to be aggressive versus not. That's what I just don't understand it, because we put our defense that's overperformed all season in horrific positions, but we continue to put our team in horrific positions as well. So last thing I'll say about it, McDaniel's the genius we've heard. It's like Einstein taking his, an addition math test, but forgetting to put his name on the paper, right? Like everything that's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, I do not understand how we are so inept at it. Like, you remember Tony Sperano used to give it to Lusaka Polite and get the 1-yard dive, and it was like a 90% conversion. Like, how are we so inept in these situations? Because this has been the number one problem, is extending drives by converting in those situations since McDaniel's arrival. And I think we've gotten worse at it.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him a couple weeks ago, show me some wrinkles, fake the fullback dive and toss it. Yeah, he decides to show it at midfield on 2nd down instead of like a 3rd and 1. So the defense just swallows it up. Lack of showing wrinkles, like another wrinkle. Why aren't you? I got an idea for you. Why aren't you putting Wright in at fullback and just diving it with him? Now, when you watch the replay, and because I know you said before we went live here, you didn't go back and watch all 22. Austin Jackson whiffed on his block, and that's why that 3rd and 1 got shut down. Jackson like overset right out of his stance and literally just got moved out of the way. Defenders right there to wrap it up. That was a bad play by Austin Jackson, but that again falls on the coaching staff. You know what I mean? You guys endorsed him being signed to a new contract. You guys, like here's the thing. I've seen a few people, and I talked about this yesterday, bro, with Richmond Webb. And I know you've seen it on X. People out there on X are actually trying to spin the narrative that Aaron Brewer hasn't been good this year. I know he's been probably the top 5 player on the team. And bro, what's even more impressive is look at how he's performed with a jabroni on each side of him. You've noticed Austin Jackson has regressed a little bit without Hunt next to him. Aaron Brewer is out here giving you top 10 center play despite having inept guards on each side of him. Which, you know what that says to me, Neil? Imagine if we had Wynn and imagine if we had Hunt next to Aaron Brewer. Dude, how good this offensive line would probably be.
Well, and look, the offensive line overall, despite being very undermanned at guard, has been really good. Terron Armstead is the number 1 ranked left tackle in football.
Yeah, he's been good.
And he's playing, we've always known the availability thing, but when he's playing better right now.
Yeah, he was dominant this last game against the Colts. He was dominant at times.
Yeah, he's playing his best ball as a Miami Dolphin right now. Aaron Brewer is a long-term fixture at the center position, and Austin Jackson, he's not playing as high as he did right before his extension, but he's still in the middle of the pack at right tackles.
Well, that's what I say. He's gone from good to like average to above average is what I say.
And that's cool with me because I think I really think the key is go find a really good right guard, and that's going to bring Austin Jackson back up. I said last week, Trey Smith from Kansas City, he might cost us $16 million a year, but I think it's money well spent to fix that line because I actually think the offensive line has been probably the most impressive group coming, when that was our biggest concern heading into the season. I think that I've actually been impressed overall with the offensive line. What I didn't ever think, and it didn't even matter who the quarterback was going to be, I never thought we'd live in a life where Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle had 4 targets in a football game, man. And they, we were talking about this with together, but they were open, and they've been open for weeks. And Tua's coming back, and the whole he's not the savior, and I get it, but we're going to see Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle come back too. Like we've practically had Tua on the IR, but Tyreek and Jalen Waddle on the IR as well, right? Like when Tua's not out there and Tyreek is running down the middle of the field with his hand wide open, begging for a football, and Tyler Huntley drops a check down or throws it to Durham Smythe who drops it. Like, it's not going to work. And, Tua couldn't come back soon enough for this football team. But now there's no margin for error. There's no margin for error now. And we got to beat teams that we probably shouldn't beat. Like, we have to go find a way to go to Green Bay on Thanksgiving and win in Lambeau. We got to go find a way, hopefully in 2 weeks, to beat the Buffalo Bills, right? Like, that would get that negative taste out of our mouth pretty quickly. Because I'll say it. I think we're going to kick Arizona's ass on Sunday. They're the worst defense in the league. The Dolphins are going to be fired up. I don't think you're going to see a super rusty Tua, because I think he was super rusty before he got hurt anyway, right? Like, I think he's going to be refreshed, and I do think they're going to take care of business this weekend. How they respond after that is going to teach me a lot about this team. It really is. Like, you have the team that almost put your season, extinct when they put Tua out, like the Bills, the team that's had your number. I don't want to get too ahead of the curve yet, but like, that's going to be a monumental game for the coaching staff, for the players. How do you respond to a team that steals your lunch money every single day? Like,
well, they've knocked your quarterback out 3 times in 2022. They rung his bell and started this whole concussion thing. He got a concussion this year, and then under Flores, remember, he missed those games with the rib injury.
Right. And the Patriots won this division 19 out of 20 years, won all the Super Bowls. We know that, right? We all know that. The Dolphins beat Tom Brady more than any team in football during that time period. Nobody has owned us like the Bills have owned us in the last 7-8 years, man. It has been hard. Like, I hate seeing them, and we see them 2 times a season, and they don't necessarily even have to be that good. They just whip our ass, and it's kind of it is deflating when it happens. So, like, I'm not expecting to win that game, but like, make a believer out of me, right? Like, go win the game. Like, you nailed it. The offensive line's playing well. The defense has been way better than we anticipated. Way better. If this offense can find 75% of what they were last year, this Dolphins team could get on a streak and should roll. And hopefully we see a better version of Mike McDaniel as well. I hope it brings the best out of him, because I will give him sympathy for the fact that he's a young head coach. This team has been injury riddled for 2 years, but not having your franchise quarterback that they have a special bond. Like, he brings the best out of Tua. Tua brings the best out of him. Not having him, and then going from that level of quarterback play to a complete failure as a backup quarterback situation, right? Like, I don't think a lot of coaches are going to go win. McDermott's not going to win without Josh Allen in Buffalo.
I mean, LaFleur made Malik Willis look like, the first, the third rounder. A lot of people projected him to land in. I mean, so
and the Bengals did with Jake Browning, and the Ravens did with Tyler Huntley. So
look at what O'Connell is doing right now with Sam Darnold.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. And we're a team that's going to need a high level backup. If whatever happens after the season, if that high level backup's a starting caliber player, we need more so than a right guard, more so than a third receiver. We need a solidified option 1B at quarterback. I don't know what it is right now, but that is something that has to be on our grocery list. But it's time to get it right. Like, hopefully we don't, knock on wood, Tua's not down for the rest of this year. The Dolphins just had no chance without him. We learn it. We've learned that now for Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson. It doesn't matter who they've put back there. The Dolphins just don't have a chance without Tua back there. And he's back, and he can't come out of that tunnel fast enough on Sunday, right? Like, this is a game where, God, I'd love to see them just come out, put 40 points up, and get it right. Like, wouldn't it be nice to see them take it to somebody who's below them, like we've seen in the past?
It'd be nice to see them win these next 2 games and kind of, take a little bit of the tension out of the room, because it would be, even though they would be back to 500 because they would have slayed Buffalo in Buffalo, I think that would bring a lot of us on board back to the hype train. And I think the confidence it would do for that coaching staff and for that locker room would be absolutely huge for the final stretch of the season. So, there's just, I go back to this, and you look at the the schedule right now, and the schedule has kind of changed from what our preseason expectations were. Now, Arizona, they can beat you, but I think we win this game like you. Buffalo, we already went over that. They got our number. But then you got the Rams, who kind of look like, Cooper Kupp might not even be a
They
Ram
might
by
trade
the time
him.
we face them.
Yeah.
You got Vegas
Defense
after
isn't
that,
good.
who I'm going down to that Vegas game. I'm going down to that for.
Yeah, we're going to beat them.
They're a disaster. New England, now, New England may have beat us last time if they would have started Drake May. I mean, but I think because we have Tua back, we'll be fine against New England.
We'll destroy them.
I really think we're going to go 4-1 over the next 5. And then Green Bay, that's a game where if our defense is better, especially against the run by that stage, and Tua's in a rhythm, I think you can beat Green Bay. New York, they're a mess. I think you can beat them twice. I think your toughest 4 games remaining on your schedule are Buffalo, Green Bay, Houston, and San Francisco. I don't think Cleveland's as tough as a game right now as we all expected it to be.
No.
Now, if Nick Chubb gets back to midseason form and Jameis Winston elevates that offense, okay, then we might have a problem in Cleveland, but I don't foresee that happening right now, just the way things are playing out. But I say all that to say this, Neal, I think if you win even one of Buffalo, Green Bay, Houston, and San Fran, I think you can run the gauntlet on the rest of the schedule. And I think those 4 games are going to be key. If you win 1 or 2 of those games, I think this team is making the playoffs. If you lose all 4 of those games, at best you can finish 7-4 and you're out. I think those are going to be those 4 games are the ones that I'm looking at where I think we're going to find the real answers out. Now, if this team loses the next 2 games, then we're going to. And so I say all that to also say this. You see the title of the video right now. Now or never for the Miami Dolphins right now. It's do or die for the Miami Dolphins right now. Do you think we're into that stretch right now? Because the way I see it is this: if you keep losing and over these next 2 weeks, I don't think you're going to have to wait for a blowout loss to the Packers on Thanksgiving for in-season changes to happen. Because here's the thing, Neal, with Tua's return this weekend, what it also means, Neal, is that the not having a quarterback 1 excuse is eliminated. If you go out and lose to Arizona, even if it's close, and then you go out and get your ass handed to you by Buffalo, you're 2-6, and it don't look like anything's changed. I could see changes happening. Are we entering do or die time for you right now?
Yeah, I think there's no margin for error. If you drop a ball game against Arizona at home with your quarterback 1 coming back, you should. If you don't win that, if there's not energy for that football game, this team won't go on a run and they'll just be out of gas because you just nailed this. Like 2 things have changed. First of all, when we came into the season, we all talked about the bloodbath the AFC was going to be. We all thought that, right? Everyone. To be honest, the NFC is light years better than the AFC right now. It's the Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills. Big step down, in my opinion, Texans than everybody else. Like the Denver Broncos and Indianapolis Colts are playoff teams in today's world, which just isn't going to last because cream always rises to the top and talent wins in this league. And Bo Nix isn't going to lead the Broncos to the playoffs. Anthony Richardson, I don't care if he just beat us. He's awful at the quarterback position. The Dolphins have everything, believe it or not, with Tua missing 4 games, everything they want is still in front of them. But the margin for error, they can't exhale. But that schedule that looks so daunting at the end of the year, right? You just nailed it. The Browns are going to be one of the worst teams in football for the remainder of the year. Without Watson, now they have Jameis Winston. I know Watson wasn't playing well. They have Chubb. They traded Amari Cooper away. Like, I feel like they're going to be sellers. The rumor is that they're looking to trade Zadarius Smith. They're fielding offers on David Njoku. Like, they are a team that's going to be sellers at the deadline. And they're such a bad organization, they might go fire their really good head coach. Like, that's how bad they are. You look at the Jets. The Jets, for all that we are upset, we didn't have our quarterback for 4 games, and we're still ahead of them in the standings, and they have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is washed. The Jets are a broken franchise. It wouldn't surprise me if they lost to New England this week. They play the Texans week after. They might be mathematically eliminated by the playoffs by the time we even play them both games. And Aaron Rodgers is beat up. If they're not going to make the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers just might say bon voyage. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? The San Francisco 49ers, Brandon Ayuk's out for the season. We haven't seen Christian McCaffrey on a football field. The 49ers don't look like the 49ers. They look like the Dolphins last year when all the injuries started to pile up and they just couldn't get out of their own way because they didn't have enough bodies to do it, right? So this schedule, the schedule that looks daunting at one point isn't half as bad as we thought, right? Because the Rams, they might not have Cooper Kupp. Like, I think Cooper Kupp's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler in the next 10 days. Like, if I had to put money on it.
Yeah, because they've been going hard about – imagine if they trade back for Deontay Johnson because he's on the market too. But anyways, continue.
Bro, I'll tell you this right now, man. A second-round pick for Cooper Kupp, someone's getting an absolute steal. Like, Cooper Kupp's a ball player, man.
Honestly, if we won the next 2 games, I would actually do it for the run to finish out the season.
You remember, we were the team that wanted Cooper Kupp, and the Rams took him in front of us. We drafted that year. I forget who it was. We wanted Cooper Kupp. We were the team that wanted him. We did the most work on him in Eastern Washington. I think it was where he was. It was the year they viewed him as a replacement for Jarvis Landry. So when it was the year I think we traded Jarvis Landry, we wanted Cooper Kupp, and the Rams came in and swiped him. Like we had signed, sealed, delivered. We thought we had him. So I said that on purpose. Like, yeah, me too. Like, and because you know what? Odell Beckham's played 2 games. He's got 0 catches. That cupboard's bared at what number 3 receiver right now. And does it make sense? No. Is it bad team building? Probably. Does it help you win football games that you need to win? Yes. You know what I mean? So like Cooper Kupp being available to me, like what a step back for a franchise. Like, take your lumps. You're losing. Draft a quarterback, groom behind Stafford, and move on. But long story short, like,
I just looked up who we took.
It was bad. I know it.
So Cooper Kupp went at 69. We picked at 97.
Guess we traded back, right? We traded back. I think.
Yeah. Guess who we took? Cordrea Tankersley.
Yeah, that was it. It was Cordrea Tankersley Clemson. Yep, that was it. We traded back. If I recall correctly, I think we didn't get him, and then we moved back to the 3rd round to get Tankersley or something like that. Yeah. So it sucks. It is what it is. But look, they can make a run. I really believe they have enough talent to do it. What I hope doesn't happen, and I was joking before we got on here, what typically happens in my Dolphin fandom is when the offense starts playing well, then the defense starts to fall apart. You know what I mean?
It's been quite a while, even since under Flores, we've never had both sides of the ball consistently clicking together. Even last year, when the offense was pumping out, Fangio was still struggling to, it took him 6, 7, 8 weeks to get that defense righted a little bit, which still had some hiccups at the end of the year.
Yeah, and you think about it, like if they make a move, in all honesty, I don't think they'd make a move for Cooper Kupp. I would look at the pass rush market. We talked about this last week, right?
Well, we're going to do our trade deadline target show. Don't worry. Remember, we do it every year. Don't worry. We're going to do.
Well, they sniffed Matt Judon before the season, and that was when Jalen Phillips was on the roster. Right?
How much do you think Azeez Ojulari would cost?
3rd round pick.
I would do that. Honestly, are you going to find a better player than Azeez in the 3rd round? He had 8.5 sacks as a rookie.
No, I like him. He was a hell of a player out of Georgia. I think they need. I think they need to make that move because Quentin Bell's not giving them much. Look, we got to be patient with Chop because he got his ass kicked. What I did see,
he was great against the Patriots. This week, he was not that great.
Yeah, he looked like he was having a lot of trouble out there. Agba should be back this week, right?
Yeah, which is going to be huge. He's been awesome.
Quentin Bell, man, that guy's the preseason MVP. But man,
him and Tanner Connor, bro, all this hype, and we ain't got nothing out of these guys.
But it is good to have the Cardinals on the schedule, and it reminds me, man, one of my favorite games in recent memory was 2020, the Kyler Tua rookie year. Game,
round 2, baby. Here we go.
Oh man, that was.
But let me ask you this. You talked about edge. Sorry, just got to stick on this for a sec before we get off track. What about moving a move for a guy like Sebastian Joseph Day to beef up the interior and trying to help stop the run a little bit more?
Well, you look at it, right? Like they have those mid-round draft picks that, you could trade for players like that. They have 2 5ths. They have an abundance of 7s. Like they have And what's a common trade we're seeing today is, hey, I'll send you my 6, which is going to be earlier for your 6. It's going to be later. Like, so I think they have the arsenal to make a couple moves and getting some reinforcements up front. I think will be good because as good as Calais Campbell is playing, which is amazing.
He's basically on a snap count, a permanent snap count. That's the problem.
I'd borderline give him MVP of the team right now.
Yeah, he's been good. Him and Sealer have been dominant.
Yeah.
Bro.
I'd give him, and I, like we said last week, I'd lock him up for another year and maybe give him a little raise to stick around. But we got to also remember that he is very old in NFL years. So to keep him there, to make sure he's there, if we do make this run and we need him in the postseason, I do think you need to get some bodies. Jonathan Harris got poached from our practice squad. We don't.
Richard, you can use a 2026 third round pick. It doesn't have to be this year, bro.
Yeah, you can, and they'll figure a way to make it work. But no,
DeAndre Hopkins is a Chief.
Yeah, which got a lot of praise. I don't know. Whatever.
It sounds like they were being cheap. If they really were about it, they should have went and got Cooper Kupp, bro.
Yeah.
They should, or Deontay Johnson or someone like that. Shout out to Peastree. She donated 5 Finside the NFL membership. So TC on 6, Chase 1, Jonathan Lizama, Shade Rehun, and 1986 Vice, as well as Chase 1, all ended up benefiting from that. Also,
wow.
Shout out to Peastree because she became a Hall of Fame Patreon today, the top tier. So shout out to her, just showing mad love to the channel. And Knight, any thoughts on Armstead working with Chop? I actually had this lined up. So what he's talking about, I actually had this lined up today. What he's talking about is what Omar Kelly tweeted out today. So Omar Kelly tweeted out that did you see it or did you not see it? I don't know if
I didn't see it. No.
Okay, so I'll just let you know what happened. So because he even quote tweeted it later on. So basically, with he was watching Terron Armstead coach up Chop Robinson on his pass rushing after practice, and he said that's what veteran leadership looks like. And then he tweeted after that, this has carried over to inside the locker room 20 minutes later. This is what veteran leadership looks like. And we were just praising Terron Armstead for his play. Did you see him and Aaron Brewer on that Jonnu Smith touchdown? They were just blowing people up and moving them out of the way. But Terron Armstead's been dominant. But, bro, now you're getting him coaching up a young stud like Chop Robinson. I showed one play too. There was a play early on, bro, where Chop, he bull rushed and then he went to rip through, and Braden Smith straight up hooked him and held him, and there was no call, but he was like that close to getting his first sack, but he was blatantly held, and they never called it. And I showed it because how ticky-tacky the Durham Smythe. Remember that Durham Smythe penalty that negated that big play? How ticky-tacky that was. Like,
it was it wasn't a hold.
No, Braden Smith was a much more egregious hold on Chop. But anyways, what are your thoughts on us also getting the coaching aspect of Terron Armstead? Because, hey, maybe there's a coaching future for this guy.
Well, look, a team. Look, we just talked about Campbell coming back for another year. We have Terron Armstead under contract next year, right? And I know that a lot of people thought this was going to be a swan song, me included, right? Like, it seemed like he was considered retirement. But if he can finish this season healthy and leave in a good position, I'd love to have Terron Armstead back and to be the mentor for another year for Patrick Paul, right? And let Patrick Paul in year 2 really be the swing tackle for Austin Jackson and Terron. Because I think Terron right now, we saw the fall off that we've seen in New York with Tyron Smith. We haven't seen that. We've actually seen Terron Armstead play his best football in 3 years. So I think it's awesome when players take other players under their wing. And, I've been very disappointed with the production that Chop has had, or lack of. But we knew he was going to take some time. And the reality is, I think what we too often do is start labeling people a bust when it doesn't happen. Will McDonald was awful for the Jets this year. He's second in the NFL in sacks.
Yeah.
Like, you got to learn the NFL game. I think Chop needs to get stronger. He looks very, very easily at the point of attack compromised. But I also think that Anthony Weaver could do him some favors and move him around a little bit more. Use him like a Scud missile in the middle versus kind of always put him
like
on the
how Penn
edge.
State did.
Right, yeah, because I think that's where he offers the most to us right now. With that said, look, I'm on the record. I would have taken Brian Thomas Jr. I said it at the draft.
Bro.
I wanted that guy. He would have been perfect.
And people were ripping on you, and people were taking subliminal shots and saying it was a bad move. People wanted Xavier Worthy over Brian Thomas Jr. And Neal, it ain't even close. Xavier Worthy had that one nice play in week 1, and what has he done since then? Even with everyone getting injured around him and more opportunities, while Brian Thomas Jr., bro, you were
he's better than Marvin Harrison right now.
He's been a freaking stud. Yeah, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. right now are the best receivers in this class right now.
Right, and it's a different skill. That's what we always said. It's a different.
By the way, I was right about Brock Bowers. Everyone who was afraid to trade up for a tight end, he's unbelievable, and so was Neal. When Neal said he was going to be the best tight end of football in 2 to 3 years, and this guy's already vying for it. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome, and that's where, like, you got to get blue chip players in the draft when you can, man. And that's where I think we missed one, but it's okay because I do think that like Chop is going to be serviceable.
Well, we know they wanted Troy Fautanu at that pick, and they were surprised that, after what had already been heavily invested by the Steelers, that they went back to it. But it's because your boy Andy Weidel was there, and they continued to even further invest and took my guy Zach Frazier, and took they just loaded up. Didn't they take Mason McCormick too? Or
yeah, they did, and he started against the Jets. Look good. Well, here's and I'll just go off the tracks for a second on the Andy Weidel story that I heard over the weekend. So in 2006, the Ravens were on the board, and all the Ravens front office wanted to take a corner out of Clemson, who I didn't even remember. Do you remember Ty Hill?
No, not really.
Well, Andy Weidel pounded the chest on his table, and he was just like he wasn't a director of player personnel. He was a scout, and he's like, hell no. We're taking this kid from Oregon named Haloti Ngata, and that's who the Ravens went with. So his fame in Baltimore was he's the reason they took Ngata.
Wow.
Right? Like, that's a pretty cool story. And he was his first job was as a Steelers. So he started in 98 on the Steelers. And in that draft class, they first took Alan Faneca, and then they took Hines Ward. And then when he was in Philadelphia, in the second round, his second year, they took Landon Dickerson, who's one of the better left guards. So he's got an eye for the trenches, man. Like, he's just – but no, man, like, I think Chop is a guy that in year 2, year 3 is going to be when you see him his potential. He's a rotational guy who's going to play a lot.
Jalen Phillips had a much more polished pass rush moveset, and even he took half of the first season, so Chop's going to take probably a little bit longer.
Right, and that's okay. That's okay. It's just it's hard when you see other people, playing well, because Graham Barton looks like an all-pro in Tampa as well. So it's not easy, but this is a long game. It's not a short game. Like, you got to, if Chop Robinson gets 7-8 sacks next year, 10 sacks a year after that, and is at 24 years old, a perennial double-digit sack guy, no one's going to complain ever.
Well, I think you made the perfect comparison, Neal, and you don't have to go outside the AFC East. What you said about Will McDonald is dead on. He was raw coming out. A lot of us scratched our head at the selection, and now Chop is a better athlete coming out and stuff. But, first year, he looked like a little bit of a disaster. This year, what is he already at, 8 sacks?
Yeah, he's at 8, and look, we also don't have, like, as good as Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer, but we also don't have Quinnen Williams. Like, Quinnen Williams is a top 5 defensive tackle in football, and that makes your job easier. So, we're going to talk about the draft, but like, I'm a big believer that the Dolphins need to take a quarterback in the draft, but I also don't think they need to force it. Like, right, if Shador's not there, if Cam Moore's not there, I'm telling you who I would take: Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, and then I would figure out how to get back in the first round for another quarterback later, like maybe Nussmeier. I would find a way to get back in to get one of those guys, because we are starting to see the value of those interior defensive tackles, like the Christian Wilkins of the world, really means something in today's NFL. And the Dolphins are kind of hamstrung with the cap and situation with Christian. Like, sure, they would have wanted to keep him, but like, I do think that, like, even if you keep Calais and Zach Sealer, getting another high quality guy. If you had a Mason Graham to that defensive front, man, like I don't know how much you've watched a Mason Graham, but like, he's going to be my highest graded defensive tackle since Ndamukong Suh. Like, that's how high I am on him. Like he is a freaking beast, man. So like, you know, you got to get those type of guys up front in your defensive line. And I think once you start developing those kind of guys, you get Phillips back and Chops. Like right now, Chops going to have to he's got to be like the Batman out there at the position. If he has to be the Robin, it's a lot different. You know what I mean? When Bradley Chubb comes back, maybe we start to see Chop really start to hit his stride in the final, you know, third of the season.
Yeah.
Because I think Chubb's coming back soon, right? Like, would you say a couple next?
Even when he comes back, I'm expecting him to only be at 60, 70% of the player he was. Yeah, I don't. Well, no, I don't think he'll be back to what we saw before the injury till at least next year.
You think he's back as a Dolphin next year?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Braxton Berrios, another guy who might not be back as a Dolphin. He's injured. He's out. I don't know if you saw it, Neil, today, but Malik Washington is at the top of the depth chart for the kick return and punt return. You know, I showed the all 22. Malik was getting open last week. He was open in the end zone for a touchdown, the play before the Jonnu touchdown. Obviously, Huntley didn't make the reads or the throws. Do you think this is a chance for Malik to not only make a bigger impact, Neil, but maybe by getting his feet wet and more involved in the game, it could lead to more targets and a bigger impact overall? You know, I personally think this is a good thing of getting the ball in Malik's hands a little bit more. I mean, we saw some pretty promising returns in the preseason from him. Call me, biased because everyone knows how much I love this kid, or call me an optimist, whatever the case may be, Neil. I'm excited to see Malik get the ball in his hands a couple more times, because if he makes some plays, this may cause Tua to look his way a little bit more.
Yeah, look, dude, I think everybody who catches balls for the Dolphins, they're going to benefit from the return of Tua. Like, right? Like, we already talked about Tyreek Waddle. Like, Jonnu Smith has really started to shine.
Oh, yeah.
And like, he is looking at, like, everything we wanted in more at the tight end position.
Yep.
Which I love to see. Because
imagine if it was Bowers, Neil.
Right. Oh, God, man. That for sure. But, like, I'm really interested to see what happens with Odell this week, because he's played 2 games. And like he's just been a non-factor. Like, part of me wonders, is the gas tank just empty, and is this an opportunity for Malik Washington to seize that position?
Well, did you see the clip that Omar posted last weekend before the game?
No.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I don't know. I haven't seen anything come from Omar in forever, man. I must.
Here, let me bring it up for you, because I played it.
But while you do,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Washington is the kick and punt returner. Like, I know Braxton's had a couple decent returns, but man, like there's a limit to that, right? Like, it only goes so far. I actually think that Berrios has had opportunities for bigger returns, and a guy who's got a lot of fire in his belly, who's a 6th-round pick like Malik Washington, I feel like is going to give us better field position throughout the game, returning punts. I do. I think it's a big upgrade. Berrios has had a couple good returns, but he is very quick to wave that hand and call for that fair catch. And I'd like to see my return guy live a little more dangerously.
Yeah. Okay. So I got the clip right here for you. It'll play over top of us, but we can still talk while it's going on. I'm shocked you haven't seen these yet, but basically I had this on last Friday's show, bro. Tell me I'll play the clip here. Tell me if you come away from this with, with any assurance that he's happy with his role, and remember, like, I'm just waiting for it to process right now. This was Omar Kelly in the locker room with him, and this was before the Colts lost this clip. And he basically sounds like a guy who it doesn't sound like his love for football is the same as what it was a couple years ago. Like that's what the scary thing is for me when I look at this situation. I mean, I think there's a deeper rooted issue here with OBJ. I know fans are bitter with the organization because they basically knew he wouldn't be ready in time. And I think OBJ is bitter with the organization because of the way his contract's structured. He don't make money if he don't play.
Right.
And I think he didn't want, we heard the rumblings that he didn't want to go on IR. So, I just don't know how happy OBJ is right now in Miami with the current situation, Neil. That's where I'm at.
And I don't think we're happy, right? Like, he's played 2 games and given us nothing. I thought it was going to be a big boost to the number 3 wide receiver position. Leaving this season, if we had to do draft needs today, I'd say offensive guard, contingency plan at quarterback, probably a safety, depending on what happens with Javon Holland. But receiver number 3 is still up at the top of that list, right? Like, Odell's only here for 1 year. Berrios is a free agent who I never thought really was going to play into it. Like, I think this team still needs to find that pure pass catcher that can move the chains in this year's draft. There's a guy that I'll throw out there who I would totally take in round 3 or 4 from Maryland, Caden Prather. They have 2 good receivers. Ty Felton's the speedy guy, 6'1". Prather's the kind of the jump ball, let me go get it guy. He's probably a little underrated right now, but he's got some big games coming up with Penn State and stuff on the horizon. He plays, but there's need to go get some guys. I think I'm interested to see what happens with Taj Washington at a USC, but like they need, I think, a legitimate number 3 weapon, and it might be Jonnu Smith. Like, to be honest, but I still think they need to get a number 4 weapon if that's the case. But yeah, man, Odell, like outside of Tua, he's the guy I want to see most this week, because I want to see if his lack of production is an Odell thing or if it's a quarterback thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the clip.
I mean, it was great. It's been a long time working out and fucking Snoop over there. It's been a long journey, since the end of last season, going into off season. Again, like I told you, not really knowing what to expect from football and what I wanted to do. So just being able to get back out there after all the hard work, it was fun. It's fun to be able to go out there and get a win. Obviously, the expectations I have for myself, I have to have discussions with myself about what to truly expect with.
What did you expect?
I'm always expecting, to get the ball, make plays, and that just wasn't it. We was on a pitch count. Just kind of to be able to get back into the flow. So, it's all a process, I think the most important thing is finding ways to win, and we did that.
Where are you mentally right now at this point in your career and this point in the season?
I don't know. It's all, it's day to day. It can go up, it can go down, but that's life. And just finding ways to continue to fight through, some of the things that I'm battling in my own life. Each and every person, no matter how high or how low, we all go through things in life, and the lowest of the lowest and the highs of the highs are the same for everybody. They all hit us the same way.
Anyways, I mean, does that sound like a guy who he's either distracted or his heart's not all in it right now?
Yeah, look, when you're a good Odell Beckham at the time was a great football player, right? And sometimes it's hard to change your expectations, right? Like, his entire life, right? Definitely in high school, definitely at LSU, definitely when he was on the Giants, definitely in Baltimore. Like, he has always been so important and vital to the team's success. I feel like now it's like that father time is undefeated thing might be hitting him in the face a little bit, right? Like, I don't heal as fast. I am always injured. Man, I got targeted and Christian Gonzalez had me wrapped like a blanket and took the ball from me, right? Like, I think those things can happen. Now, confidence is an MFer, right? So if I think the rapport between Odell and Tua is natural and it's real. I do. And I think Tua, and I mean this as a compliment, is a teammate pleaser, meaning he likes to feed his teammates. He likes to get them hot. We've seen him do it with Waddle, with Tyreek. He likes to help them build their confidence and spread the wealth, but know where he can go in the game. And I think you're going to see Odell. I think Odell's going to make a good catch in this game, something 20 yards plus downfield, because I think Tua is going to give him the opportunity. Tyler Huntley, like, if you're a receiver for the Miami Dolphins right now, you're frustrated as hell because for 3 weeks, everybody who's got a microphone or a camera is telling you how bad the Dolphins offense is, and that's not the standard you have. So I think Odell is learning his role here in Miami, but I think that was, man, I didn't even get a catch my first game back.
Yeah.
I come to this situation and I'm catching balls from the guy that I ran away from in Baltimore, right?
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and actually, I think Odell might have caught Tyler Huntley's first touchdown pass in Baltimore last year. But like, I think we're going to see, like, I can't give a grade if I'm a teacher to Odell Beckham right now because the test, it's not a fair test. You're catching balls from Tim Boyle, you know what I mean, and Tyler Huntley. So now the real, class is in session for Odell. And this is the first test. And I want to see, because I think that that's what we need to do. But one thing I have to say is that we need to run the football still. Just because Tua's coming back, like, I want to see the pass game too. And I want to see Tyreek, like, that 80-yard touchdown he caught against Jacksonville to change the whole course of that game. Like, I want to see those plays too. But for the Dolphins to get to where I think they need to be, the key player to this offense, and the key player is going to be, to me, Jalen Wright, because I know what A-Chain can do, and I know they can use A-Chain in a variety of ways. But in between the tackles, the guy that I want to see be getting the bulk of the carries is Jalen Wright.
Yeah, and I mean, Tua's always worked his best when he's, the pass has been predicated off the run, not the run predicated off the pass. So, I do think they need to, this is, after we ran the ball the way we did against the Patriots, what did I say? I said, okay, well, the next test is going to be, does he keep running the ball the next game? Now, he did keep running the ball next game 40 times, but his play calling and personnel usage at the position is what led to 2 mistakes, 2 fumbles. And when you run the ball 40 times, you can't afford 2 fumbles. You just can't, especially fumbles that turn into points for the other team. Now, with Tua coming back, this is the third step in the growth process. Will he continue running the ball? Will he continue to stay dedicated to the run with Tua coming back? Because, I mean, I always go back to this game, LSU, Alabama, Tua's final year. You watch that game, that encompasses how to use Tua and how to utilize his skill set the best. In the first half, what did Saban do? He just was kept dropping Tua back, was predicating the run off the pass, and the game was sloppy and it wasn't going Alabama's way. Second half, what'd they do? They leaned on Najee more and they predicated the pass off the run, and Tua basically brought them back. And if Jerry Jeudy doesn't drop a pass in front of the end zone, they win that game and beat that amazing LSU team. So I think that's always been that's always been how you use pocket quarterbacks, rhythm, timing, and anticipatory quarterbacks. That's how you've always had to use them, because they aren't creators out of structure. So you have to keep defenses honest. And how you keep them honest? With the run game. And I think another thing too is keep threatening the seams, because what you're going to do is, even when you want to pass against too high, you're going to create conflict where, okay, we got to be aware of the run, but we also got to be aware of Jonnu in the seams could pull safeties to him. And all of a sudden you're getting a one-on-one on either side. And that's a favorable matchup for us pre-snap. So, I think running the football and continuing to threaten the seams is going to open up more deeper shots for us. And that'll be their way to solve all the too high shells they keep saying, because defenses are just going to have to continue to be honest. Like, when Jalen Wright, dude, when he came out and he had that first run, the 9-yard run, and he kicked it to the right, and he saw the hole, and he thought, I'm only going to get 2 or 3 yards out of this. So he delayed behind his protection and then brought it back to the left. Unbelievable vision.
Unbelievable.
Patience for a rookie. And then his second run, bro. This is why you needed to watch the All-22. You should go back and watch the All-22 just for that second run. Bro, how you from the goalpost angle, you really get to see it and you get to appreciate it. How skinny he made himself through the blocks in the cluster to get through and break it off for 19. Bro, a man his size shouldn't have fit through the hole the way he did. Like, he totally made himself skinny, hit the hole, got through it, kept his contact balance because he took a little bit of a shot and kept it running. Like, I just, running the football is going to be paramount to the success of this offense moving forward, even with Tua, and so will threatening the seams continuously with Jonnu Smith, bro.
Well, and dude, that's why, like, I know it's easy to say Monday Night quarterback. Another guy that I wanted in the offseason was Derrick Henry for the reason that you like when you can run the ball for real in football, it's hard to beat you, right? Like when you can run the football for real, and Jalen Wright makes me feel like a guy that gives me the belief we can run the ball for real, right? Like, and I like Devon Achane, and I still think Achane's a big play X factor in this league, and I love that he's a Miami Dolphin. But I think the yin to the yang, where you have Jalen Wright and Achane kind of feeding off each other, is huge. And I look, I know I get labeled as a Raheem Mostert hater. I think he's a good football player who's done really well in his time in Miami.
Time to pass the torch, brother.
It's time to pass the torch. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, you done, and I'm very critical of Mike McDaniel, more so than most people. But I will say, I don't agree with the personnel that the groupings he used when we fumbled those balls, but captains like Raheem Mostert and Alec Ingold should not be fumbling those footballs.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
So
they're like, I'm not going to put that 100% on Mike. I don't like that he went to the fullback dive. That's become stale, and that's my go-to on 3rd and short in Madden, right? Like, so everyone knows you're doing it. But I just think Jalen Wright has that aura of a special player.
He does,
and I think he can be the key cog of this run that we need to go on. Yep. Because, like you just said, we have had Tyreek and Waddle be historic with a pretending running game, and if we can really put defenses on their heels to that level, that's when you're going to see this offense be more dangerous. So, like, the football season is long, man. We're not even halfway there yet. Like, it's been
a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, we've all been angry. But at this time last year, we all thought we were going to win a Super Bowl, and we didn't win a playoff game, right? So, like, I'm just hoping that.
Bro, wouldn't it be hilarious if it's a reverse? Wouldn't it be hilarious if it's a reverse Uno where we get healthy in the second half of the season and we actually perform in the second half of the season? Because, if you think about it, the last 2 seasons, you would rather flip them because you'd rather be hot going into the playoffs and on a run than, cold. But it starts this week against the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, you look at the pass defense, Neal. The pass defense for the Miami Dolphins is number 1. But the rush defense is 17th. They're allowing about 130.7 yards per game. Guess what? The Cardinals are the number 5 rushing offense in the NFL. Kyler Murray is averaging 9 yards per carry. You look at James Conner, he's averaging 5.6 yards per carry right now. I would say the leaky, giving up explosives has, in the run game has been our one weakness over the start of the season. Like, I truly believe, Neal, if this team cleans up the run defense, I think the defense can legitimately start winning us games. Never mind putting us in the chance to win. I think they can start winning us games, but I digress. It starts this week. As far as the practice today, Skylar Thompson is fully recovered, and he's basically spending the week preparing to be Tua Tagovailoa's backup this week. Tyreek Hill popped up on the injury report today with a foot injury. He was limited today. Waddle's been limited all week with a quad injury. Tua was a full participant today, meaning if he goes through practice tomorrow, Neal, he's can officially be cleared and be ready to come back this Sunday. How are you feeling heading into this game? Because right now there's another issue, Neal. Cam Smith is back, but guess what, Neal? I don't know if you've been watching it, but Kader Kohu, Storm Duck have not practiced all week.
Right. Can I be honest? And I want to see Cam Smith play. So
do I. I agree.
So, like, Storm Duck.
It's time. Yeah.
If Storm Duck's the reason that Cam Smith isn't playing football, that's a bad second-round pick, right? And I like Storm Duck, and it's a good story. But I'm with you, man. Like, I want to see Cam Smith on the field. And, look, I respect Kyler Murray more than most people. I like Kyler. I always have.
I love him.
I think he's a good player. Look, if the Dolphins did decide to move on from Tua, and this won't make a lot of people happy, one of the first calls I'd make is to Arizona to see if we could get Kyler Murray.
I wanted him so bad coming out of that draft, bro.
Me too. I was trying to mock my way into belief that we could make it happen, man. Yeah. But, like, I would totally, like, that'd be one of the first calls I'd make would be Kyler Murray. I'm just 100% out there. I will say this. James Conner is a hell of a good story, man. If you remember, he had cancer at Pitt. A lot of people thought his career was done. He went to Pittsburgh. He's made chicken salad out of chicken ass. I just think that he's going to have a hard time in Miami against our defensive front. I think the boys are going to be fired up on Sunday. I really, really do. I think at first it starts to be a close game, but I think Miami pulls away. I think it's going to be the best offensive game we had all season, and that's
okay.
I
love it.
I think we put a 40 burger up. If that's bold, I don't know.
It is.
And I think we probably end up winning like a score of 40-26 or something
Brother,
like that.
We're averaging 11.7 points per game right now. Yes, that's a bold take to say we're putting up 40.
Well, look, I just think I think this is going to be the game where like all the pain that we went up, they feel it too. This is their career. This is their and look, Tua obviously loves football more than most people because the guy could be a multimillionaire sitting on his couch watching Jerry Springer and enjoying time with his beautiful family, right? Like he practically said in that presser, like,
I'm doing this for the death of me.
Yeah. Like don't and look, man, if you don't respect Tua Tagovailoa, man, I can't help you on that because I think it's amazing. And again, my quest to find an alternative has nothing to do with the skill of the player. It's just all about the availability. But yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to be. This is a game. I think the whole organization that inside that building changed on Monday. I think everything changed in that building on Monday, man, because at lower levels, when I've played sports, when your best player is out and you have to go and get your ass kicked and you got to go sit and look at your teammates and you're in the locker room, it's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling. To underachieve with the talent on this team, that's a horrible feeling. To watch your coach get ripped in headlines, to see your star players get ripped in headlines, that's a horrible feeling. This is an opportunity for this franchise, the fans, the players, the coaches, everybody who gets a check from them to come together and get back to what they've done. Because as many shortcomings as they've had of losing playoff games, the Dolphins are one of the few teams that are coming off back-to-back playoff teams. They're still one of the winningest teams in the AFC over the last 3 years. And we are not even halfway through this NFL season. So you nailed this. If the roles are reversed from last year, what a pleasant surprise.
Oh, my God, that'd be amazing.
We've talked about this so many times, our love for our hockey teams. I'm a Capitals fan. They won the Cap in 2018. That was one of the worst hockey teams the Caps had in 10 years, right? It was. They had better teams when they won the President Cups years before that. They found lightning in a bottle together. Guys like Devontae Smith-Pelly were scoring goals through his legs. Jacob Vrana, like players that typically weren't scoring were scoring. Like team sports is an interesting thing, man. And when you go through adversity and you bring it together, man, sometimes you accomplish crap you never thought you were going to. And that's what I hope for the Dolphins. I hope as fans, we all went from riding this ship to sinking to in 3 weeks we're high-fiving because the Dolphins are on the playoff screen when Sunday Night Football's on. And that this team has that type of talent. And I think a lot of people ask me, like, Neal, you used to be positive. Why are you so negative? My negativity stems because I know that this team is better than what
they're underachieving. Yeah.
They're underachieving. Exactly.
Franklin Higgs wants to know if you've heard of Nick Nash and any final thoughts you want to add.
I haven't heard of Nick Nash.
Yeah, I haven't watched him either.
I am at San Jose State. I have not watched anything. I am in draft mode where I'm compiling my boards and working on, and I'm doing about 3 to 4 prospects a week right now because coaching sports and all that. But I will make sure to add him to my radar and give you a breakdown of what I think. I always like suggestions. So, draft season is upon us. I mean, we're getting to the nitty gritty of college where the big games are coming. We've had some awesome star-studded quarterback battles. I think right now college football is as good as it's ever been, man. I love watching it. Final thoughts, like, man, we've been waiting. I don't know if we all knew right away. We all thought that Tua would probably come back at some point. The time is now. I'm so happy to have him back in the lineup. I am worried for his health going forward. I got to be honest. Every time he gets hit, my heart's going to fall down my chest. Yeah. But he's a grown-ass man that has the ability to make his own decisions. I don't ever tell another man how to live his life. So the Miami Dolphins are better today than they were last week or they have been for the last month. And I think the Dolphins are going to get a W, and the ship's going to get right back on track. And the reality of it is there's 7 playoff spots. There's 3 really good teams, 4 division winners. So if you say the division winners are the Texans, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs, I mean, look, man, the Steelers look like they could claim one of those playoff spots, but they have a brutal schedule in the second half.
Yeah.
The Bengals, everyone expects them to go on the run that they go on most years. But
wide open.
Why can't it be us? To quote the great Tony Soprano, why not us, right? Like we have to put those little gray hats on. So I'm excited, man, and I can't wait for Sunday football. And I hope the Dolphins, I hope they put the smackdown on the Cardinals.
All right, guys. So I'll be live tomorrow to preview the game, and I'll be live on Sunday for the live reaction and the post game. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one. Until then, you know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Take it easy, everyone.